All right, folks, it's a beautiful day at the old ballpark, so put your mustard on that dog, grab that bag of peanuts, sip that cold one, and let's meet our Tiger of the Day.
Today's Tiger video is Rico Brogna. He is represented by a 1991 Upper Deck, base card number 73, with a on-card auto, slabbed by stats grading. When you look back at the early 90s Tigers, it's easy to remember the stars. But it's the almost stories that can be the most fascinating. Because Detroit had a first-round first baseman named Rico Brogna, a guy with big-time athletic chops, real pop, and a fast-moving hype train. But he showed up to an organization where one thing was already spoken for. First base belonged to Cecil Fielder. Today, we're diving into Brogna's Detroit chapter, how he got here, why his opportunity was so limited, and the one Tigers moment that still deserves a replay. Let's set the stage. Before Brogna ever put on pro spikes, he wasn't just a baseball player. He was a multi-sport standout, the kind of hometown legend coaches don't forget. In high school, he piled up accolades across football, basketball, and baseball, and the Society for American Baseball Research even notes he once got intentionally walked 4 times in one game. That's not nice season territory. That's teams refuse to pitch to you territory. Detroit saw that kind of raw talent and used a first-round pick, 26th overall in 1988, to make him a Tiger. And like a lot of high-upside prospects, the hype started early. The Society for American Baseball Research recounts how Brogna's early exposure to big league camp and praise from Tigers manager Sparky Anderson helped create the feeling that he might be on a rocket ship straight to Detroit. Did you know? The Society for American Baseball Research highlights just how extraordinary Brogna's athletic background was. He wasn't only a baseball standout, he was a high-level football and basketball talent too. And that rare multi-sport profile was part of what made Detroit take him in the first round. But baseball has a way of humbling everybody, especially hitters trying to force their way through a blocked position. Fast forward to 1992. Brogna is in the Tigers system, developing, grinding, and waiting. Then the call comes. Detroit brings him up in August, and the reason tells you everything about the challenge in front of him. He's not arriving because there's a wide-open starting job. He's arriving because Cecil Fielder is banged up enough that Detroit needs a temporary fill-in at first base. That's a tough situation for a young player. On a veteran roster, you're not being asked to grow into the job. You're being asked not to mess anything up. So what did Brogna do with his limited window? He gave Tigers fans a moment. On August 11, 1992, against the New York Yankees, Brogna went deep for his first Detroit home run. And it wasn't a solo shot. It was a 2-run homer, the kind that makes you sit up and say, okay, maybe this guy can really hit. But here's the hard truth about roster math. A single big swing doesn't unseat an established star, and first base was still Cecil's address. Brogna's 1992 Detroit line ends up reading like the definition of a cup of coffee. 9 games, 1 homer, and a slash line that shows how small the sample really was. And that's the bittersweet part, because Detroit's investment in him was real, but the opportunity was never built to be his. By the time 1994 rolls around, Detroit makes a clean decision. On March 31st, 1994, the Tigers trade Rico Brogna to the Mets in exchange for Alan Zinter. From Detroit's perspective, it's a practical move. You've got an entrenched first baseman. You've got a prospect who needs real at-bats to become what you drafted, and you've got to decide whether he's worth waiting on or worth moving. From Brogna's perspective, it's also simple. If you're going to become the player you're capable of being, you need a place where your path isn't blocked. And while his best seasons would come after Detroit, the Tigers chapter still matters, because Detroit is where the story began. Detroit drafted him. Detroit developed him. Detroit gave him his first MLB stage, and Detroit's roster reality shaped the entire direction of his career. Wrap up. Why Brogna's Tiger story is worth remembering. Rico Brogna's time in Detroit isn't about huge stats or all-star seasons. It's about something Tigers fans know well. Baseball careers don't always unfold in the clean, predictable way we imagine. Sometimes a first-round pick runs into a franchise icon. Sometimes a young hitter gets a handful of games and one swing that flashes the dream. And sometimes the what if is the whole point. If you enjoyed this deep dive Tiger story, drop a like, subscribe, and comment